Hello.
Good morning. Hi,
Welcome back.
Sis.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Lesson 57.
Lesson 57. Here we go. Okay, so another review lesson. We have 5 ideas that we're going to review. And the first one is I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up my insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. Hmm.
Hey, this reminds me of something. This is really good.
Mhm.
Many, many times, course students, as we're practicing forgiveness and accepting the atonement, and nothing changes.
No appearances change, right?
Yeah, it's like the problem isn't solved for some reason. I'm still, the conflict still seems to be in my life. When this seems to occur, I noticed that even though we say, I want to forgive it and I'm accepting the atonement, there's something there where we still want to be bound by it. So we might want a better body, but we don't want our mind healed. We want that person to leave us alone, but the ego loves the juice of the conflict that that relationship provides. So on the surface, we say, oh, I've done the forgiveness work around it and I don't want it. But when we recognize what is it about that problem that gives the ego huge doses of guilt and conflict. Remember, the ego is a state of mind it's upset and it's in stress mode, so that we're not in the peace of God and not remembering what we are. So if we find that things don't seem to be moving, there's right here, we're in the jail cell and holding the key. There's a reason why we're not employing the key or just walking out. And it's great to do some self-inquiry and say, what is it about this dynamic? It's not that it won't leave, it's that you're not letting it go because it really is coveted by the ego because of the amount of conflict that it provides. So something good to look at.
Remembering,
Yeah,
and this is deeply unconscious until it comes to the surface,
right.
that the first obstacle to peace, which is the obstacle to love, God's love, our holy self, is the desire to get rid of peace. So it's the addiction to conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the addiction to judgment. It's the addiction to guilt. It's the addiction to fear and control, all to keep the false self going.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. We wanted to pull the lid off of that and take a look on the inside. And that's what's going down 5 doors down, 5 levels down.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Oh, that's good. I just wanted to maybe mention this too, because I think it's appropriate,
Mm-hmm.
is because we just read, I'm not the victim of the world I see. And I'd just like to add, I had a conversation with somebody this morning and they were saying, I've studied the course for years and I don't know what to do with the self-doubt. All of this self-doubts come up and I don't know what to do with it. And I think it's appropriate here because, and I know it very, very well, because in that self-doubt, we can really, really feel victimized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're being crucified by our own self-doubt, our own unworthiness, etc. And what came out of my mouth was that self-doubt is the ego.
Oh,
The
yeah.
ego is self-doubt. I just want to drop um, that little pebble
Mhm.
into your pond and see how many ripples might come from that for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll talk more about that later on. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll make a note about that. There's something in the manual for teachers, but we'll come back to it because I think that's
absolutely.
really
So
powerful.
we're on lesson 57 and we're on idea or idea number 2. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. He's speaking about ourselves and others, right?
Mhm.
He is where God would have him be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner. And he's talking about
Mhm.
holding others prisoner through our judgments of them and through believing that we're being victimized by them, etc. Can you add to that, sis?
Yeah, I think all imprisonment occurs the moment that we think that any brother, and including ourselves, is body bound. And
Mm,
the way that we keep them imprisoned, because at any time they could leave, but it seems that we lock them into the prison with our judgments. That's really the glue. We just add our own stuff on top of the first lie that they're a body, and then it's, well, they're different, or they're good, they're bad, I want to be with them, I don't want them. Yeah, it's on and on and on. So it's all made up, but that's a state of imprisonment.
thank
um yeah, thank God it's just a mistaken belief, and the realization that I did this, I don't want it. Holy Spirit, help me, right?
That's it. No guilt, no judgment, no self-judgment.
How can we judge over a mistaken belief?
Once we see it, we can give it over
Yeah.
and receive the miracle instead, the
Let it
atonement. Okay, so idea number 3, there is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribed to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son. It must be then that the world is really a place where he can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom.
That's really helpful. One of the terms I came up with the ego thought system is just the mad flipper. Oftentimes we go, oh, the ego, and it's fearful, or it's out to get us, or it's actually intelligent. It's not. It's a thought system, and its program takes what God has already done perfectly, and everything that God did is good, and it just suggests its inverse. It flips it. So everything that we're seeing is reversed and upside down, and there is a correct way to view it. And it's very helpful, like he's done here, that if we think that God's Son is imprisoned, or we are imprisoned, well, what is the opposite of that, right? Liberty, freedom, boundless bliss. So that's the truth. So oftentimes when you don't know what the truth is, well, what is the ego boasting in that image? The opposite of that is going to be what God is declaring. So that's always helpful. So where we see lack, there's a law of abundance. Where death tries to, appear or show itself to us, there's a law of life. Sickness, health. Imperfection, perfection. Chaos, harmony. Yeah. So there's another way of looking at the world, and that's a great arrow or pointer to know what is going on.
Mm. Very good, sis. Thank you. Very helpful.
Thank you.
Idea number 4, I could see peace instead of this. You know, when I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I made up for it to obey. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it. And I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this peace, this place with me. You know, because our minds are in constant communication with our brothers and God, you know, talking about the Christ mind, the Holy Self's mind, right? When we really desire to see peace instead of what the ego is trying to trigger us with, we're actually communicating again with God and with every other sleeping mind in the dream. And so we're helping everybody at the same time to wake up to God is in their mind, right? They are God's son. So I think that's very, very helpful.
It is very helpful.
Yeah.
In the recognition, just saw this morning again, that when we're doing some self inquiry work or doing the forgiveness and accepting atonement, all I statements, you know, I am the son of God, I am the expression of God's being, just really declaring the truth over the I of our being. Are we not saying it for the entire sonship? And the reason why is the I of my being is the Christ, is the I of your being. You also are the Christ, an individuated aspect of the Son of God. So, you know, all work, correction, as you do it for yourself, it's automatically being done for everyone because we're all sharing the same mind. So when you declare, I could see peace instead of this, and you do, thank you, because you just did that for this part of the I. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you. And the last idea for this review is my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Remembering that we can interchange the label or the word holy with incorruptible innocence, you know. So I am incorruptibly innocent, which means that I am immune to all of the illusions that the ego attempts to throw at me. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy, very innocent. And that innocence is shared with everyone. It's not a private affair, personal affair. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers through forgiveness, right, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. Sorry for the pinging in my phone here. I forgot to turn it off. So I'm going to repeat this. In this light, I begin to see the light. Well, basically, it's a light of my forgiveness, right? I begin to see what my illusions about myself, the ego, had kept hidden. Sometimes when I hear this pinging going on, all right, I know it's Jesus.
He's doing this.
He is. That's exactly what it is, right? So he's trying to get my attention and I'm not listening. Right. So,
in this light.
Okay. So what my illusions about myself kept hidden. In other words, what the ego had veiled about the truth of myself. I begin to understand the holiness, the innocence of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me. And that's such a beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt experience. And this experience gets accelerated or quickened when we're able to share these teachings with another person. In other words, where two or more people come together who share the same goal of forgiveness and awakening to the truth of who we are as the Son of God, right?
Right.
That's a holy relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you want to add something, sis, to that?
I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Time we start accepting our holiness as a child of God, really examine this belief in deep unworthiness and bring the light, examine it. Where did that come from? Who believes it? Unworthiness only exists within an ego thought system. What is the opposite of unworthiness? Grandeur, magnitude, blessedness, holiness, innocence, divinity.
Glory.
Yeah.
With a capital G. Grace with a capital G.
Grace. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time we entered into our inheritance.
Yeah.
And that's not arrogant. It's arrogant to tell God no to the gift that he's already given and the creation that he's already declared perfect. It's in humility and in submission, saying yes to what God is declaring over us. And that's a loving act that says, yes, God.
Yeah, that's right. No more false humility.
No more false
like
humility.
You said, it's arrogance.
Yes.
It's the ego.
Yeah. God's giving these gifts and we're like, no.
Don't. Yeah. I know all about that one. I knew about it, not anymore.
Don't harsh the gig I've got going on here, God. Okay. I'm having too much fun being very lowly and limited. All right, you guys. Thank you. That was lesson 57, review lesson 57. Thanks, sis. Beautiful reading.
Yeah.
Love the ideas. Thank you.
That's great. We're learning something.
I am.
Okay, guys, we love you. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.